Welcome to the Draft Stack. It is me, Kyle Scarlett. I'm here with Jacob and Jordan. What is going on, guys?
What's up? What's up?
What's up?
So we're going to cover top 10 or the consensus of 2026 NBA prospects. I'm going to hand this to Jacob, who has some notes, some information here.
Yeah.
Take it away, man.
So these top 10 that we're going to cover today is not our top 10, but the consensus top 10 across NBA draft boards. And to be honest, we were scratching our heads kind of looking at this because, in my opinion, I'd probably only have 6 or 7 of the guys in the top 10. But going down like these boards, there's clearly some younger guys or some older guys that are talented than players that are unproven ahead of them. So that made me scratch my head. But if we're talking consensus boards, everyone knows the big three in 2026. It's Darren Peterson, AJ Dybonsa, and Cameron Boozer. And in most variations of boards I've seen, it's either been Dybonsa or Peterson at 1 and Boozer at 3. Although Boozer does have his fans because he is an extremely polished player. He's probably projects to be the safest out of the 3 in my opinion.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, but all the hype is really around Dybonsa and Peterson. Me and Kyle were talking before the show. Dybonsa is more of a progressive type of takeover guy as opposed to Peterson, who's more explosive. You see the juice happen, and that really happened when they did play each other in February. Prolific Prep versus Utah Prep. Peterson had like 68 points that game, and he really took over the final minutes. 19 out of 21 for fourth quarter points.
Yeah,
had the game-winning shot as well. While Dybonsa, you're watching the game's like, oh, he has like 56 points right now. So that's my difference between the two. Based on the list, based on the consensus list, Dybonsa is number 1, and it's pretty easy to see why. Just the length, just the overall frame makes him very projectable. He has a lot of on-ball skill. He just want
to start with him. So I have everybody's per 40 stats from Cerebro pulled up, and so Dybonsa 6'9" forward going to BYU. I have him first on my board, so I agree with the RSCI board on this position. I think that might be one of 3 that I agree with them on. So per 40, he averaged 28.9 points, 9.6 rebounds, 4.9 assists, 1.9 steals, 0.8 blocks, 3.8 turnovers, but on 53, 35, 81 shooting. And he was on, 6 threes and 7 free throws attempts per game. So it was a pretty, hefty size, sample. He can legit do a whole lot on the court. He is a very versatile player. And that's right now why I have him over Peterson personally. My comp for him has been Joe Johnson because you're going to see a lot of T-Mac comps. Not every tall player who can handle the ball is T-Mac.
Correct.
We went through this with Ace. Everybody said, "Oh, Ace is T-Mac," and then you went through it with Michael Porter Jr. was T-Mac. Every time there's a tall guy who handles the ball in high school, everyone's like, "It's T-Mac again." He's not T-Mac to me yet. Could he get there? Maybe. I'm not gonna count it out. He does some absolutely special stuff. And then also one thing I've noticed going back through this was for a different thing. I was actually looking at T-Mac's actual stats, comparing them to the modern era, and I was actually surprised how inefficient T-Mac was. In my mind, the dude never missed. That was not the case. I was really shocked how low his true shooting and all that kind of stuff was. So,
and it was funny because I was like Jacob said, we were talking before the show. So for me, it kind of lends itself back to what I said when we were covering 2025. With Harper and VJ Edgecombe. I just was like, they're 1A and 1B or 2A, 2B to me. You can go either way. I don't think the Spurs would have been wrong if they added VJ. I wouldn't have been mad if they added Harper. Now, there are some people who are going to disagree with me on that, but I just think that the talent from both of them, while it is differently applied, I think both guys are just extremely talented, and they could have gone 2 or 3. Like,
I think all 3 of these guys right now are 1A, B, and C for me.
Yeah,
and I agree with that.
There's not any separation yet between the 3 of them.
And so for me, I actually have Peterson over AJ, just from the perspective of efficiency. That's one of the things, at least from what I've seen so far. So I'm going to temper my expectations here. Efficiency, maybe. Obviously,
I would say the numbers don't back that up. The Cerebro numbers don't back that up.
Now, maybe that has a lot to do with where they get their shots from and where they take their shots from. So maybe I'm looking at it from that perspective.
I will say he shoots a lot more threes and makes a lot less of them. So
there's again
the only difference. That right there is the difference in efficiency right there. And
so to me, I guess one of the things that I think is, and I kind of explained it when we were talking to Jake, when I was talking to Jacob earlier, before we went on, is I think Peterson slowly kills your defense, and you're like, oh crap, we're down 9 because this guy has an insane amount of points. He's made a lot of shots. He's gotten to the rim. He's gotten free throws. I do think that AJ, I think AJ does similar things, but I think his things happen in spurts throughout quarters versus in a game where you need takeover. I think Peterson does it almost like immediately. Like you can kind of see it kind of working towards and then Boozer is getting kind of overshadowed here, but
we can get to Boozer later. I want to we're comparing the first 2. Like I think this is a good time to talk about AJ just won MVP for the FIBA 19. He shouldn't have.
He was not the best player on that team. I thought score-wise he wasn't the guy, and I thought what he did well was get to the rim and play defense. I thought Mikhail Brown Jr. was easily the MVP.
Clearly the MVP. But I do think that AJ is still the better player than Brown. I just think Brown had the better tournament.
For sure.
And so like there's a lot to like about AJ, especially like you said on the defensive side of the ball. I think that's where I'm actually getting pretty impressed with him. I don't think he's like, I've said from the beginning, Cooper Flagg is the best defensive high schooler I've ever watched. It wasn't like that, but it was still really impressive defensive tape. The kind of variety of what he can guard is pretty impressive.
Yep.
You can put him in a lot of different positions and he's going to be positive on defense. He's not like the shot blocker that Flagg was, or even like Amen Thompson or something like that. But he still can, to me, the stocks didn't show up a ton, but the actual being in the right position showed up a lot.
That's important. That's just, that if we're, if you're talking about defensive acumen, being in the right spot is just as much as getting a stop as it is you getting the steal. If you're in the spot to stop a guy from getting to his spot, that's a defensive stop. So I think the plus here is because he's 6'9" and can guard 1 through 4.
Yeah.
Now, again, I'm not mad at him being number 1. Obviously, he could stay there the entire time and go number 1, and I wouldn't blink an eye about it. However,
and I do think that he's weird. He's much more in the scoring mold of like Alex English or something like that, where it's methodical. He's going to get his 7 points in a quarter. He's not going to go off for 18 points in a quarter and then have like 2 the next quarter. It's much more like I'm getting this, and then I'm also going to be distributing the ball, which is the other thing to me. If we're going to compare him to Peterson, like I've seen some people who say that Peterson is a point guard. I don't think so.
Combo
at all.
I have him as a
combo maybe, but definitely not point guard. To me, DeMonts is a much better creator for others than Peterson is. Peterson to me right now is a one-trick pony, but that one trick is really working. So it's kind of like, how much do you want to hurt him on that one trick? So do you want me to give Peterson's numbers? And then since we've started, kind of comparing the two. So he has less games in Cerebro He only has 50 games, but in his 50 games per 40, it's 31.1 points, 9.4 rebounds for a guard. It's pretty good. 4.5 assists, 3.9 steals, 2.2 blocks, 3.1 turnovers, only 46.9% from the field, only 30.3% from three on 7.5 attempts. So he is getting them up. And then 81.3% from the line, which is really good because it's 7.8 free throw attempts per 40. So he gets to the line a lot.
Yeah.
The dude can slash. Like the comp is Anthony Edwards for a reason. Like other people want to say Kobe or whatever. Like I don't quite want to say Kobe. Let's pump the brakes on these kids. I don't use Hall of Famers as comps unless they're definitely not this early in the year. And you got to be a very special prospect for me to, break my rule on
here. Yeah.
Yeah. And he might get there because there are some stuff that he does that is pretty stinking special when it comes to getting to the rim. And also, I do think that he does want to play defense. Like that's something like, and his is different than AJ. AJ doesn't have the stocks numbers, but he's in the right place all the time. To me, Peterson wasn't in the right place all the times, but he made up for it with his athleticism and effort, which is very similar to, I don't know if you've ever like gone back and broken down like Michael Jordan tape. Like he was very like often in the wrong spot on defense, and it just didn't matter because he was just more athletic and had better physical tools than everybody else. So he would just get to stuff that he should not have had any business getting to. And that's how Peterson looks at the high school level.
So your comparison for Peterson is Anthony Edwards, right?
Anthony Edwards, yeah.
Okay, so my one issue,
but not Ant now with the shooting, because
Okay.
Ant has completely changed his game now in the last 2 years.
I was going to say I don't think he's the shooter that Anthony Edwards is. Anthony Edwards, as a prospect, was a completely different shooter. By the way, he was not like that. But also, I do think
it's wild how improved he is at shooting.
Right. So I don't see Anthony Edwards from an explosion standpoint. I think Edwards is a much more impressive vertical athlete compared to Peterson, even though I think Peterson's more line drive getting to the rim and more kind of quick first step changing gears. I think it's on full display on screens, dribble handoffs, which he just beats everybody got, like snaking guys.
He's fast. He is so fast.
That's what I think his downhill is more. Like I don't see the Edwards of like just using strong legs and jumping high, but more just getting us there as fast as possible.
About like 4 inches taller De'Aaron Fox. Like, I mean, the dude is fast.
Right.
Yes, like
I actually do like that comp. 4 inches
I'm
taller.
gonna change that. Then
And
we're just gonna pretend that I said that from the beginning.
And the 6'10" and a half wingspan is adds all
it is on display too. He uses that wingspan
right
on both ends actually. I think some of the ability to slash is because of the wingspan, obviously, and his ability to get shots off at the rim, and then he can lock down guys, especially at his position, in a lot of cases. So again, they're one. So we talked about Peterson. We talked about Advance a little bit. I think one of the funny things is I saw a wild, and I'm stating this because I saw it a while back, and this is so far behind. I think it was about 2 years ago. But people were talking about Boozer and his footwork, and I saw somebody say his footwork was very Tim Duncan. Now, I'm putting this out here. I'm not saying that his footwork is Tim Duncan. I'm just saying that people thought, wow, it's so polished. His game is so methodical.
But I mean, look who his dad is. Of course, he's going to have amazing footwork. Like, I mean, if he didn't, that's bad parenting. That's like, Tim Hardaway Jr. like has to look at the ball while he dribbles. Like that's bad parenting from his dad. So yeah, it makes sense that Carlos Boozer's son has good footwork in the post.
And he just uses his size well. I think
this is the part to me where people who like seem to clearly think he's 3 and not like in this range. I don't get that. Like the statistical profile. Like, okay, so we're talking about so Boozer is 6'9", power forward. Like he's a power forward, but he can play some. He's going to play some 5 and maybe even some 3, depending on lineups. But in 117 games, so I think it's the largest sample size of anybody on Cerebro. But it's basically 31 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, only 3 turnovers, 59% from the field, 35% on 5 attempts per game from 3, and 83% on free throws on 7 a game. Like, it's bananas. Like, the dude is insane.
And that's why it is 1A, 1B, 1C. And I would not be. Here's the thing. After 3, I'm not having any conversations about anybody else moving up unless they extremely impress me this upcoming, college season. But any of those guys could shuffle 1, 2, and 3 depending on who gets 1, 2, and 3. I was saying that to Jake.
Yes.
Yeah.
And any team can pick, and they wouldn't be wrong at the selection. Like, if anybody making the assumption or the assertion,
those numbers look made up.
Right? They're 2K numbers. They're 2K numbers.
It's bananas.
I think to me, anyone who asserts or posits that a team is wrong for picking one of the 3 guys, whatever position there are, is just doing it for clicks, in my opinion. Because all 3 guys are talented guys. I think they all could go 1, 2, and 3, and I'm not mad at any of that at all. I think there's a class tier here where those guys are in that top tier, and unless something drastic happens where their seasons just don't reflect the talent that we've seen from them, I can't imagine that they're going to move out at 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a comp for him? Because I have multiple ones.
I have one comp that the first thing that stood to mind when watching him, Kevin Love.
That's the one I've heard a lot. The passing for sure, like the outlet passing is there,
and the footwork
and the rebounding. I also think because I think he handles the ball a little bit more than Love.
Yes,
so
definitely.
my comp has been Paolo.
Okay, so my I was thinking about this earlier today when I was taking my notes for everybody, and I do totally see the Paolo comp, especially from him as a ball handler. I think Paolo was definitely more crafty as a scorer compared to Boozer, using more of a wider arsenal of ball handling moves and more kind of like getting to the basket, you being savvy and crafty, while Boozer's like, okay, I'm going to bang you up in the post. I have a soft touch. I can hit you with a post fadeaway, post spin, a wide variety of moves. And if I miss, I'm going to get my own rebound. So that's how I think they're different. But
Boozer to me is like, if we're using shades of comps, it's like he's got bits of both of those.
Yes.
Like that's the one thing that I like about the Ringers board is that they comp clouds instead of one individual player. And I do think that he's very interesting with there's multiple ways that he can affect a game. He can come into a game and be like, this game I'm going to be the rebounder. This game I'm going to be the rim protector. This, which we'll get into later on with some of the other forwards. They're one trick ponies. He is not. He does everything. He puts his fingerprints all over a game.
And I was wondering, and this is probably a reach here, but I thought I saw the Kevin Love and I saw Paolo, but I was thinking maybe Michael Beasley, Kansas version of Michael Beasley, a little bit. Obviously, the scoring isn't the exact same because I think if anybody, like, you guys are catching Beasley play pickup games and run big three, but if you watch some of his Kansas tape, unreal from the ability to just score the ball.
Don't do drugs, kids. That's what we're saying. With like Beasley should have been first ballot Hall of Famer. He had that talent. It's wild to me how he just like that he
kind of fell off of a cliff. He's been talking about some of that stuff, but not to focus too much on him. But I think Boozer has the ability possibly to score similarly. It's to be seen. If he can do it against those who are on a different class. High school to college is still an adjustment.
I think he's also got a man's body. That's the other reason that we're using Love and Paolo and Beasley is because he's got a man's body, but he's also not like Love was out of shape when he came into the NBA. So he's not out of shape. He's not, he's not fat. He's not Derek Queen out here, but I do think that he's he's got a little bit of ability right now to. I was wondering, he was getting destroyed on Twitter during his first summer league game. By the way, I do think that Bouger, his frame is going to pack on even more muscle. I mean, again, look at his dad. Like he got his dad's genetics. Like he did.
He's also like
worried about his hairline, but
compared to his dad, I think Carlos is more kind of like he's big. I think Boozer's more built like an athlete.
Yes, yeah,
he's more defined than Carlos is.
Yeah,
which definitely helps him more as of like when you wants to contort his body or move his hips.
And I'm just going to say this here because I don't know if we'll go into it later. I am absolutely shocked that Caden is not in the RSCI top 10. I love Caden. There are several even point guards, like same position players, that to me he's better than that we're going to talk about later. Yep. I really like. So I have Caden on my big board. I have Caden at 9 on my big board. I really like him. So
he's a steady playmaker, and I think he grows into that with reps. He's going to get reps. And this is not this pod isn't about Duke, but I think just to touch on it a little bit on what me and Jacob were talking about, and then Jordan will to enter your thoughts here. But we were talking about how we aren't sure how Duke is going to manage all the talent they have on their roster. How many forwards, how many wings / guards that they have.
They left into Coward getting drafted.
Just like there's only one ball. And I do think that the scheme is going to make sure that everyone gets touches to some degree. And obviously that college definitely kind of shrinks your role a lot. You're not unless you're a certain type of player. When you have that much talent, your role shrinks even further. So
that's another reason. That's actually why I'm higher on Caden. Is his role is so he is a gigantic point guard. He's an actual point guard, and there's a lot of guards that we see that are we have the questions: are they a point guard? Are they a shooting guard? Are they we even talked about Peterson already. Like he is a point guard. He's also huge.
And he might benefit from the fact that Caleb Foster is in that similar position that he's a combo guard and he's not the best ball handler, not the best passer, but Caden's a miles better passer, ball handler, just floor general. So I think he'll definitely benefit off that because I do think that Foster is going to have a hard time table setting for all the talent they have. And I think Caden can easily be the guy that steps in and does that.
Yeah.
And if you look at if Caden's starting, you look at Duke's size and length on just all around, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're going to be. Dame Sarr is probably coming off their bench.
I just had that conversation. We just had that, and I maybe we should have kind of started, and then you would have hopped on and been like, "Oh, I'm gonna have my thoughts here." Crazy that some of you if you look at some of the consensus, there are 5 to 6 guys ahead of Dame Sarr that I'm completely confused about. I just and don't get me wrong, I don't think that they're not talented, just to put that as a disclaimer, but I'm wondering, what do guys see that are scouting? What do they see from these other prospects that say, hey, I think that they're going to go ahead of him? Because to me,
I'm actually lower on Sarr than you are, probably, but that's because I think he's going to be a 2-year guy because it's Duke.
I could agree with that. And here's my thing. It's one of two things. He has an amazing season where it's just it makes the most sense to go ahead and just one and done it. Or he has an amazing season and says, hey, you know what? Some of these guys are going to come right off the roster here. I'm going to get
it's my show.
And it's my show. So this is a win-win situation. All the physical tools are there. And granted, for those who are watching, he's not on this top 10 list. But we're talking about the fact that he isn't.
He should be.
And I would say that you're also, because he's an international guy, so he wasn't even factored in for this.
No.
And then you're also not factoring in Jaden. Is it Quaintance?
Quaintance.
Jaden
Quaintance. Karen
He's
Lopez.
not being factored in, and then Kareem Lopez would not be factored in.
Right.
So I think that's something probably to point out, that I think those guys would probably be in the consensus top 10 if they were being factored in.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with Sar, not to linger because we got a few guys to cover, but just the physicals. He's 6'7". He plays both shooting guard and wing. Handles it like a guard. Does put rim
guard
pressure.
Forwards too. Guard forwards.
He's a very functional athlete.
Yeah,
can get stops from whether that's playing the passing
actually
or blocks.
This is someone who I do have over him and is a pretty good comparison, and is the next guy we're going to be talking about. So Nate Ament going to Tennessee, it's actually he's a good comparison. So Ament is a 6'9" forward going to Tennessee, which is basketball IQ questions if you want to play for Rick Barnes.
I do want to touch upon that a little bit later.
Yeah,
I think he's good. I think he's going to benefit from being in Tennessee.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a spicy take. So his per 40 numbers in 80 games: 24 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, 3 turnovers. 46% from the field, 39% from 3 on 7 attempts, and then 83.2% from the free throw line on 7 attempts. So the shooting seems to be real. He is super long. He is really good at defense. To me, he's not the offensive player that some of these he can't create his own shot, in my opinion. He's much more things have to be created for him, but he is very I think the shooting is real. And so to me, my comp for him is like a modern day Tayshaun Prince. I don't have him 4. I personally have him 7 on my board. But I do understand the appeal of him.
So I agree with you for most of the part. I think that he is a very good catch and shoot type of guy. I do think he struggles to create space. I think he's a better passer and ball handler than most people are giving credit to. I think he has overall a nice feel and instinct for the game. I think he impressed me both as a standstill and live dribble passer in college and all these tournaments you see him play in. We say this a lot. He's thin. All these guys are gonna be thin, but
he's thin.
This guy, he's a twig. He needs to bulk up, or else he's gonna have problems on the defensive end. He has that tenacity on the defensive end. He's able to clog lanes. He has the coordination, but it's just gonna be about if he's gonna get bullied. So that kind of makes him a bit of a tweener. If he is 6'9" and is trying to play the forward, he might just be a jumbo wing. But going back to what we were talking about, I think Tennessee's going to be a good fit for him because, one, he needs to learn how to play with physicality. And if there's one thing that Tennessee does well, it's play hard and play physical.
That's true. That's fair. It's just Rick Barnes can't coach at all. He's terrible.
Yeah. But also in terms of being able to get your shooters open, we saw this with Chaz. We saw it with Dalton. Barnes is going to get a men open.
That's true. But, the dude didn't run pick and roll with Jericho Sims. So, oh, no, that was Shaka Smart. Sorry. Every coach at Texas is terrible. Sorry. But, it's just they just keep cycling through awful coaches. But anyway, Rick Barnes also not a great coach. But, yeah, that one was on Shaka Smart. So, sorry for that one.
And I think the thing is, I guess I'm starting early on this. These guys need muscle. Put on some strength. I was hoping not to have to start out Brandon early in the cycle.
He's overweight. Dude is tiny.
The top 3 have NBA ready bodies. I think that only improves. Some of the guys beneath, you're like, huh? Woo! Wait, what? What's happening? And granted, these are kids to a degree, if we're being honest here. They're still kids, so they're filling out frame and everything, adding strength. And I think that's something we should probably cover in the future about college body and being ready for college, and then what your body needs to be ready and look like NBA wise. There is still a substantial difference between being a college athlete and being college ready, and then being NBA ready with your body and the type of things that need to happen with your physical. So, but to say, Jacob, you talked about the inability to get separation. He takes a lot of contested jumpers from what I watched.
Yeah.
And granted, we've talked about guys who do this, who are able to make these shots, take and make. But I do think he needs probably a little more shot selection discipline overall,
Mhm.
and that'll be polished playing at Tennessee, I think.
And that is something that Rick Barnes will probably help with.
Because you need that, and it would help him. It's to be seen. I don't have him top 4. I have him top 10. I have him at 8 right now.
Yeah, I have him 7.
And so we're right, like that's one spot away. So to me, I think there's a couple of guys that could be much better in consensus later on. It's
going from someone who, for me, again, I think we're all pretty much in agreement that he is a top 10 guy in this class. Right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way at all about Caleb Wilson.
Aha.
So this
good defender.
Good defender. I'm worried about absolutely everything else. So here's Caleb Wilson is 6'9" forward going to UNC, which also has not worked out well for some people. When you go into USC and you don't actually, they've struggled lately,
especially for these athletic wings that can't shoot. We
yes,
here little. Drake Powell was a first round pick.
Ian Jackson, but
Ian
Powell
Jackson
should have gone earlier, and then he lost a lot of.
He was a top 10 pick going into the season.
Yeah. Ian Jackson was a top 10 pick going into last season. And then, had to. So in 52 games, he's averaged 19 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, 4 turnovers, 41% from the field. And it's not on a lot of threes. He shoots 23% from 3 on 3 attempts. And then from the line is 74% on.
You had me concerned.
Sorry, 74%
Big difference
on 6 attempts, basically 6 attempts per game.
You scared me there, Jordan.
Yeah, 54. Yeah, it would have been terrible. The dude can't shoot at all. Can't create for himself. Kinda, even when things are created for him, he can't finish the plays. I'm worried about the offensive side. Now, the passing is there. I do think the passing's there. But I don't understand. I'm really struggling to see his NBA role right now, unless something changes with the shooting or something changes with the finishing. Because right now you can't even play him as Dunn in Phoenix, where they have him just kind of he cuts to the basket and finishes that way. You can't really play him that way right now either. So I'm a little concerned with his offensive role.
The
defense is real.
Dunn is more athletic than people are aware of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can finish at the rim, does have size. I think he's much bigger than people realize, actually.
Yeah.
But Wilson, to me,
my comp for him is Dorian Finney-Smith, because he was the worst shooter I've ever seen in my life until he suddenly learned how to shoot later on. But dude was terrible when he came in. Summer leagues were brutal with him.
Mm-hmm. And how does how, and you guys can answer, either of you can answer this. How is he going to fit with the front court usage at UNC?
UNC is going to have floor spacers with Visar and Jaron Stevenson next year, so maybe that allows him to slash a little bit more. I will be a little bit lighter on him, because I do think that Wilson has a lot of.
But aren't they going to try to play Visar and Stevenson at the same time?
Yep.
They're so then you're
play all 3.
Yeah, that's my worry with UNC. I have a feeling that we're going to get to, maybe December, and he's just not on boards anymore.
I think he's too good. He's too good of an athlete for him to fall like that. Just because.
I just think he's a second. I don't see him as a one and done. I don't see him being a one and done.
Right. I mean, I could see teams just being enamored with the strength he just plays with, the sheer strength.
The length is there. He has the physical stuff that people do love.
And defensively, I think he's an unbelievable defender.
He's incredible.
He's gonna have a ton of highlight moments this year. I think also finishing wise, he's gonna have a highlight dunk.
Oh yeah.
But I think that's more of an open floor thing than it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Half court wise, he's gonna struggle. But I will say this: when I did watch his film, he was getting doubled a ton in high school, and because he's
That's
a
true.
floor handler, that never really ended well. But most
Yeah.
of his scoring off ball was in flashes, and he really hasn't proven it yet. He also got the ball like I bet his usage was sky high in high school.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't have it pulled up, but it was kind of astronomical.
Yeah.
So
We've yet to really see him in a scaled down role where he can really harness athleticism and put all his effort into kind of cutting off ball, setting screens.
because
But
I do want to be clear, the defense is real.
Yeah.
Like he's an incredible defender.
mhm.
So it really could, which I'm assuming that's why he's ranked so high, is the defense. I'm just worried that the offense will be so much that he won't see the floor.
Right.
So 6'9", I think it's a 7-foot wingspan. Here's my thing, and this to me is one of the things that I'm wondering. Does he play like what role into Jacob's point, playing all three at the same time? I'm just not sure if he okay. Granted, I think these guys are often working on their games. So, there could be a difference between what we last saw and what happens when the college season starts. And so there's a possibility where Wilson's a much better shooter than he was if he's working on his game right now, where he's just like polishing out, being able to space the floor a little bit. And so if there's an ability to do that, that changes what his projection looks like entirely. So I don't know. I do think he does have high feel. I think you touched on that, Jacob, as well. Jordan, you said the defense is real. That was one of the things that popped off by watching him, is just being able to get stops. Half court is interesting to me. And there's something to be said for being able to hold your own in a half court defensive setting and make reads and get stops. He has the physical.
There were several times where he just won games on the defensive end.
And that to me is probably why he's consensus number 4. Again, these are early.
I got another comp that just kind of came to my mind now.
Give it to us.
Jonathan Isaac. Like
strange on
that
offense,
level of defender. Yeah, really struggles on offense, but the defense is so real. That's actually probably an even better comp than the Dorian Finney-Smith. I think yeah, I'm going to change that officially in my board.
And movement, I think one of the odd things, I think injury did a lot of damper for Isaac in being available and just not being the, kind of being the caliber of player that people thought he was going to be. But the defensive tools are all there. And the ability, the lateral quickness, the ability to get to spots before other guys is there here for Wilson. I am intrigued to see what he looks like. I'm not sure what UNC is doing. I'm not sure. I don't understand their schemes. Used to be a team I liked watching. Not sure what's going on over there.
They have a really weird roster right now.
Yeah.
I don't really trust Seth Trimble to be their clear-cut leader and point guard.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with UNC that I'm just very confused about. Speaking of confusing, do we want to move on to Chris? Oh man, Sanak?
I think it's Sanak. I've heard it's Sanak.
Okay. 6'10", big for Houston. I think combo big is fair. I think he can play some 5 and some 4. So per 40, 76 games, 23 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, 4 turnovers, which is a lot, but a lot of high school bigs struggle with turnovers. So only 49% from the floor, which is a little worrisome. 26% from 3 on 3 attempts a game. So that's some of why his his shooting is from the floor is maybe a little lower, but it's kind of worrisomely low for a high school big man.
Yeah.
72-ish% from the line on 8 attempts a game. So he gets to the line a lot, which might be another thing. To me, I felt like watching what little tape of him I could, I felt like he was trying to get fouled more than he was trying to score. And
is that just him being so weak that he just flails all the time?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Which, if that's the case, Kelvin Sampson's not going to let him play like that.
Yep.
Nope.
like,
Nope.
so he chose a good coach to fix that.
And Jojo Tugler's could be a very good compliment for him. If you're talking about a guy that just bruises and plays like physical, that's the guy.
The only comp I could really come up with watching him was Al Horford, and that seems too high.
It seems generous.
It's very generous, but I couldn't really think of like who is poor man's Al Horford off the top of my head.
Xavier Tillman.
It's actually not a terrible comp. I don't think he's quite as like as Tillman.
Or polished.
Or polished.
One of the things was that's Horford was a very polished player coming in out of Florida. So
I don't think he's as strong as Tillman. So
definitely not.
Or even Tillman at this age. I don't think he would. I don't have a ton on him, to be completely honest, other than like he's unique. I am 16 on my board. So, I don't have him top 10, but he's not like way out of my top 10 either. So, I don't dislike him, but there are definitely some question marks with his strength and stuff.
He's 6'10" ish.
6'10" ish, yeah.
The wingspan is like 7'3", I think. 7'4".
I didn't see that, but
defensively, he's going to have an impact just off of. Well, you hope that defensively his impact is felt just with the physicals. I don't know what to think about him offensively, truthfully. Question marks to me. I don't know if that's you guys as well, but there are some question marks offensively on what you're going to get from him.
So he'll play inside out a bit. I think his handle isn't that bad. I think he definitely in high school was able to get to the spots with his handle off the bounce.
Yeah.
So
I really think Sampson is a good coach for him because he's
definitely.
Like I really that's probably to me my favorite fit out of anybody is like as far as like choosing their coach. Like I really think that it was a very strong option there.
Yeah, I agree. But then like passing wise, I don't know if he's could be good enough to thrive, and shooting wise in general, be good enough to thrive in that short roll or the pick and pop.
Right.
So that if he's not able to do that, it takes him out.
But if he is able to, and it would just like wasn't used in high school,
right?
Again, it's going to be Samson's going to be able to find out.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish more kids would think about that kind of stuff when they were going to college, because like it's a hand in glove. Like he didn't go to who was going to make him comfortable. He went to who was going to fix the holes in his game.
Yeah, and that's something that Sampson does for sure.
And I think that shows a lot on his IQ and like evaluation of himself. So I think that was a really smart move there.
Well, that just shows good intangibles, right? Like he has the thought process to say, hey, what's going to polish me out as a player? What's going to round out my game? What can I add to my game? What are things that are going to be best used that I can improve even further? And what can I add that I can add to make my game that much more versatile? I think that's the plus there. So it's to be seen what it looks like from a scheme perspective, and seeing what he does as far as getting stops. Because I think that's with Sampson, that one of the biggest things is defense. Can you play defense? Can you stop your man? Can you get stops at the rim? Can you get stops before the rim? Can you play good team defense within the scheme I have slated out here? It's to be seen, but I think he has all the physical tools that could possibly materialize in them being really impressive and making another run like they did in the previous season. So
you want to move on to Michael Brown?
Impressive.
The hottest name in draft circles right now, by far.
And
rightfully so.
Before I read off his statistics, I have noted here he's a late bloomer. So he didn't really pop until like his junior and senior year, and so his statistics are weighed down by that. So just keep that in mind. So 6'3" point guard going to Louisville, real point guard, not a combo guard. He's a real point guard. 113 games, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 0.1 blocks. So, doing what he can there. Where was I? Only 38.6% from the field, but he shoots a lot of threes. 35% from 3 on 8 attempts a game. And then 85.2% from the line, which is pretty awesome. Just going to be honest, on 5 attempts a game. So really good. Late bloomer. My comp for him right now is Mike Bibby with a pogo stick. He does all the little point guard stuff.
Yeah.
Shoot, pass, defend. Also can jump out of the gym. He missed that dunk because he was too high in I don't know if you saw the FIBA. Yeah, where he was too high to dunk it. He is fun. He can do a lot. And then we talked about earlier that he probably should have been the MVP of the FIBA tournament. Yeah, there's just a lot to like with him.
He shot 47.3% from 3 in the FIBA tournament,
and
47 from 3.
Didn't get MVP.
And the thing,
he's a real shooter.
Dibansa might have impacted the game a little bit, in more places in terms of just being a defensive connect and just overall connector. Mm-hmm. But Mikhail Brown was that primary guy for them. He was the guy that was table setting and scoring.
While saying he's a real point guard, he is a real point guard, he can also play off ball.
Mm-hmm. Which is 100%.
Which is the separator to me so I have him 4th right now on my board. So he's clearly the best point guard to me. I messed around with at some point having him in that discussion for the number 1 pick. The more that I've watched his tape, I'm not quite there on the number 1 pick. Mm-hmm. I don't think he can be in that conversation, but I clearly have him as the top of the next year at 4.
Yeah. Also, I think a lot of conversations around him this year are going to be the fact that he is a 6'3", could be possibly smaller guard. Mm-hmm. And he is a slight frame. So a lot of people are going to draw the comparison. They're going to draw comparisons to Boogie Flan. They're going to say Rob Dillingham.
He's much more athletic than both of those guys.
Yeah, to counter that, I was going to say he's much more functional as an athlete. He's a better shooter, much better off-ball threat as a catch-and-shoot guy. Yeah. I think he's also a more cerebral passer than both of them. I mean, some of the passes he makes in such tight windows really just wow me. So,
and I'm the guy who, if he's shorter than 6'3", so if he's 6'1",
Louisville has him listed at 6'5" right now, which is probably generous.
There's no way. If he really is 6'3", or if he really is 6'1", 6'2", that's fine for an actual point guard. That's fine. My problem is when you can't play point guard and you're 6'1" or 6'2", or like Jace Richardson, 6 foot. Mm-hmm. That's where I start to worry. So I think he's fine because he can actually play point guard. If he really is 6'5", he might be in that number 1 discussion. If he really is 6'5".
Louisville has him listed at 6'5", 180. And
there's no way.
I say no way. He's probably 6'2", 6'3".
That's the same guy who measured Ace Bailey. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Now, if again these kids, these are kids, so they could be. I don't know what's in the food or the water. I didn't get any of it, unfortunately. I'm not sniffing 6 foot. But they can go to sleep tonight and be 6'2", and the next morning they're 6'5", 6'7". I'm like, what? I didn't get any of that. But anyway, the point is, a lot can change in a summer. And when you're playing ball, I think one of the interesting aspects of that is how much your body is developing to keep up with the amount of athleticism you have. So I thought he was 6'3.5", maybe. And maybe I'm stretching on that. But what his ability to drive at will is something that I picked up on. Yeah, just watching. Insane athleticism. 6'6" wingspan. I mean, there are some insane tools here, both for offense and defense. He makes. I think one of the things that maybe needs to change just a little bit is his ability to pick and roll read. And that'll come with time as a point guard. You're going to add some of these elements over time. And so I don't know. I haven't taken a good look at the roster at Louisville.
Oh, this is something I want to bring up. It's going to be a weird fit. They're very, very guard heavy. Ryan Conwell, who I think is extremely talented, had a number of games last year where he just completely took over. Adrian Woolley's guard particularly higher on than most others. And then McNeely was the number one guy in Virginia last year as a lights out shooter. So there's 4 guards on that roster, including
I think college wise, you can get away playing McNeely at the 3 some.
Oh yeah, I agree. But it's just general 3 guys that are all probably 6'4", 6'5", and under.
Yeah,
which could be tough.
Now,
do you have anything else to say on him?
Well, no. Well, what I was going to do is we're going from a guy who's a little more sliding frame to a guy that is not sliding frame. And to me,
big boy
could move up the boards if he has the type of season that I think he's going to have. And that's Cole Pete.
So I just did the deep dive on him. So I'm going to read the stats. I'm going to let you guys talk, and then I'll come in with my deep dive. So per 40, 92 games, 6'8", big, going to Arizona. I also have him 8th on my board, so this is perfect to me. So he is 24 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 3 turnovers, 52% from the line or from the field. Okay, this is the problem. 22% from 3. Doesn't shoot. And then from the line, he's 64% from the free throw line on 6 attempts. So he does get fouled a lot, and he still doesn't shoot very good.
Work in progress on the jumper side. But I think Jacob, initially, when we were talking about him, 6'8", 235. Is his offense going to be one of those things where he bullies, is the word that Jacob used? Is he going to bully guys because he's just...
Absolutely. He will.
Than other guys.
Dude, if he could shoot just a little bit.
Right.
I think he's so far from being a shooter. I mean, this is one of the guys I've been watching probably the longest. I'd say he's probably up there with Boozer. As for guys I've known about, he's never been a shooter, not once in his entire career. It's been ugly. He did not take a single 3 in FIBA at all. Didn't even think about it. This is a guy that's, when he plays, he's just gonna be straight on bruising. And from just a strict ceiling and floor perspective, I think he's probably got one of the higher floors in the class just because he's so physically well built. And as a defender, he's a defensive playmaker already, coming from the weak side, clogging passing lanes, uses his length and anticipation to create events, disrupt actions. So he thrives as a cutter as well. He played pretty well in the short roll from what I saw at FIBA U19, just decision-making as a whole and just getting to the rim. I think he'll be pretty good at Arizona just because he's has such a physical advantage over everyone. And that front court is wide open, especially with Townsend and Visar both gone. And also Arizona's going to have the playmakers for him. He's going to get open. So I have him at 7 right now. I can totally see him rising. I can totally see him falling. But I don't see him falling out of my top 10 just because I think he's probably one of the safer picks of the draft.
And to add to that, before Jordan goes into the deep dive here, I think one of the things that I touched base on a little bit with Jacob earlier is I could see a team picking him earlier from the Amen and Asar Thompson perspective, just because of the athleticism, the build. Obviously, I think he has a much better face-up game than those two guys. Obviously, I mean, again, that's to be seen. But I think his current, as of currently, I don't think Asar has much of a face-up game at all. I think he can drive to the basket. Amen is clearly the better player right now. So that's and they're different players from that perspective. Yeah. But overall, he just is broad, just a grown, it's weird. I think he's still filling in his body, which is insane to say because he's 6'8", 235. I think the wingspan is probably hovering around 6'11". I found it kind of challenging to find information on his wingspan.
It's long, whatever it is. It's long.
And so he has, to me, I mean, ceiling and floor for me, and this is all in progressive to change. I'm excited to see what this all flows out to be, but connector, high end role player, if he has star potential, I think it would take a leap from his ability over time to add the shooting if he can. And I don't know if that happens in a one season span. And then the free throw shooting would just need to completely take a jump up a little bit by maybe 5 to 6%, where he's not great from the line, but you don't want to continue to send him there. I think he's going to make more than he misses, but that's really just to be seen. And I leave the floor to you, Jordan, as you did the deep dive.
So he's so unique. I think for one, the rebounding is that's going to be there. From like he is a bruising big. He really is going to use his physicality in a way where he's going to clear out space. What confuses me, I think he's a good mid-range shooter. I think he can hit shots from the free throw line if he's guarded. So why does he stop? Like, why is the free throws the problem when they're not guarding him? That's the weird part to me.
Can I throw a comp at you real quick? And granted, this is probably, I could be wrong on this. His game is, the shooting is different, but I think he kind of reminds me of Jeremy Grant a little bit.
That's actually great.
Like, I think that's his comp for me.
Because that gets the defense. Because that's the hard part for me, was finding a comp where you could also get the defense. Because my comp for him is DeJuan Blair. So that's an old school. I don't even know if Jacob knows who that is.
I know who he is.
Okay. And so like I said, it's probably going to take a unique talent to completely unlock him. So DeJuan Blair was uniquely put next to Tim Duncan and Dirk Nowitzki, and that's how he was unlocked. And so I think that it could be that because to me, I think the defense is real. Like, he can guard wings. And so I think it's not that you have to put him in drop coverage and all these other things. Like, I think the defense is real. It's just like, what do you do with, I think he's a very good passer. I think that the passing numbers are not showing how good of a passer he is. My real question is, if he can't shoot and he's only 6'8", that's the problem. Like, if I thought he was going to grow to be even 6'10", like, then I could see him being used as like a Sabonis or something like that, where you kind of use him as an offensive hub. But I don't think he's tall enough to be that center offensive hub. So then it really does come down to, if he can't grow that, then he needs to shoot, because that's where the ceiling comes in. I also have seen a lot of like Julius Randle comps with him because of the bully ball. Randle was a better shooter at this point already.
And that's why I said Grant, to interject here for a second.
Yeah, Grant was a terrible shooter.
So
that's actually
30% in the 2 seasons.
Well, the thing is, he shot 40. He was not a good shooter, but he shot like, I think, close to 40% his first season at Syracuse. Not on a lot of makes, but his sophomore season, he didn't do anything. I remember him being a negative asset on like shooting wise.
Yeah. So like, to me, Koa brings everything you want in a role player, except he can't shoot, which is the only skill that matters for role players. So it's like, it's like, what are we doing here? So if he could just shoot, or if he could miraculously have like a Giannis type growth spurt, like if one of those two things happen, like, he's going to have a great career. So it's really interesting to see where he goes from there. I think that he does so many, like, he tries harder than other people out on the floor. Like, the effort is there, which makes me think that maybe there is some untapped shooting potential with the effort. I also think he has touch around the rim. He has touch in the mid range. He has touch on like floaters and stuff. So why at the line and behind the 3-point line, why does the touch go away? I don't understand what's going on. there. I don't understand the mental disconnect that's happening there. And maybe if he can get over whatever that mental barrier is, we're talking about a really good player.
Which I think if there was a school for him to figure it out, I think Arizona is a good spot. Just off of, if you look at Carter Bryant, who for most people, he wasn't a primary offensive option there. However, he's shown in just some of the games he's played the ability to possibly stretch the floor and some other stuff. So I wonder if it's just one of those things where they work on this, like, hey, you could be 4 to 7% better from the free throw line. Let's get reps up. Hey, I don't think the jumper is ugly, but it could be maybe more fluid. Let's work on that. So I think that Arizona is probably the best spot for him to iron out some of those things. I think if there was a school to do that, that would be it.
And we're talking about shooting. Shooting is one of those swing skills where sometimes people never fix their shooting. Sometimes they do. And man, if he can shoot, like if he shoots 30% in the NBA, we're talking about a completely different player. Than someone who shoots.
It's a star player if he's shooting 30% in the NBA.
Agreed.
If we're talking about guys from Arizona that can't shoot, I think it's a perfect transition to the next guy.
That can't shoot?
I don't think Barry's is a good shooter. Is he not?
I don't think so either.
I don't think he's a good shooter.
The numbers totally disagree with y'all.
Really? I haven't looked at his numbers. I was just looking at strictly tape.
60 games, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 0.4 blocks. So, doing yeoman's work on the blocks. 3 turnovers, 49% from the field, 40% from 3 on 7 attempts a game, and 72% from the line on 7 attempps. So
he's not a vertical athlete.
No.
Does not explode. Much more crafty around the rim if there is.
So
drive. Don't get me wrong. He can drive.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have. I'm picking on him just a little bit here. He does not have the similar problems that I think Yakashonis has. Like they don't have similar problems in creating the space in lane to get to the rim. I think he does drive with power. I think his wingspan is like 7'1" or 7'2". He's like 6'4".
Yeah.
And so
he's got a long wingspan.
Now, his defense, and then we've talked about a few players. I think that's what makes this class so interesting, is there's quite a few guys on this class that can defend. There are a lot of guys who you can play and say, I don't have to worry about him on defense. Now, to some degree, that works. Not to branch too far out of the conversation. To some degree, that works for teams where they're like, I don't mind adding a guy who I can just figure out what his offense is going to look like. Now, granted, you have to have some patience with that. But in a league that probably has started to finally, I think it's swung back a little bit towards the other side of prioritizing point of attack defenders. He fits that. He is definitely your point of attack defender kind of build. Unfortunately,
he's pesky. Like he's an annoying defender.
Yes.
He's also kind of, to me, a little like lower center of gravity too. Even with the height. So like my comp for him has been like Eric Gordon, to be honest. Because I actually do think he's a shooter, and I'm actually probably talking to you guys. I think I'm lower on the defense actually than you guys are. But I'm higher on the shooting. So I don't know where you guys have him on your boards. I currently have him 24.
I had him 20.
20. So
I didn't.
I'm a little confused why he was so high. Say that again.
I didn't get to that range. Like I probably only have like an idea of my top 15 right now.
Gotcha.
He's not in that idea. Like he's not in that list yet. But I totally see the appeal with him.
Yeah, I do think that, because I really think it seems like, there's a lot of numbers that are backing up that he can shoot.
Right.
So if he can shoot, I'm pretty interested. I also think that him and Koa Pete on defense are going to cause problems in Arizona. Like they're going to be fun. They're going to be a lot of fun.
Those are two guys that can move in space very well.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I was just he's probably the one I was the most confused out of anyone. Like with Caleb Wilson, I can see the otherworldly defensive presence.
Yes.
To me, Braden Burrows is the most confusing of the people on the list. To me,
I guess to me, his floor. This is such a weird take, so don't kill me for it. I feel like his floor and ceiling are much closer together, and than maybe projected. So I don't know. 20 is as high as I think I'm going to have him, because I think there are some guys who are below him that could shoot past him, and I can't imagine that he's going to be better than the guys that I think are already ahead of him.
I do think if he keeps shooting like this, I think I could, and 6'4", 6'5" shooters, real shooters who aren't negatives on defense. There's a role for those guys in the NBA. Also a pretty good rebounder for a guard. Pretty like a really good rebounder for a guard.
Yeah.
So also, 5 assists is not something to sneeze at.
No, not at all.
So I'm not saying he's a point guard, but I do think that he gets teammates involved. His usage was super high, which is again why the 40% from 3 with that high of a usage is pretty. It's intriguing for sure.
Because from him to who's last here, there's a difference to me between the two of them, and I actually have who's next above him on boards than I do.
I do too.
On my early board, and that's going to change. Darius is weird, just to put it out.
Darius Acuff Jr.
Yeah, just an interesting prospect from my perspective. There might be similar questions about his height that there were for Jace. The difference is ability to break down defenses, can go both left and right, does make tough shots, does take tough shots. Not a knockdown shooter by any means. What are the stats for him?
So he is 6'2" guard going to Arkansas. Woodpig. I had him 14th on my board. 29, almost 30 points per game. 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 0.3 blocks, 3.4 turnovers. But again, he had 6 assists, so that's actually not terrible.
E plus.
Only 44% from the field, 32% from 3 on 9 attempts. That's a little worrisome. However, he's basically 79% from the line on 5 attempts. I do think that he's probably, so if I had to really break it down, just looking at the numbers, but also watching the tape, I think that Burrows is probably a worse shooter than Acuff, even though the statistics don't necessarily back that up yet.
Right.
So that's just personal opinion. My comp for him is like poor man's Kemba Walker.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all.
I think
is he shifty? Is he as shifty as UConn?
No.
Kemba is and that's kind
of, and also he's playing for Coach Cal, so we're not going to get to see any of his guard skills. So
this is probably one of my biggest candidates.
Every guard that plays for Calipari suddenly gets better in the league.
He's probably
he hasn't practiced in those guard skills. He just doesn't let him use them.
Right. Because of that, he's probably the biggest candidate for me to fall. Him and Braden out this top 10. Just because, Acuff's a great passer. I think he has some juice off the bounce. Definitely shot the ball a ton. But my whole thing is, what is he going to do on the defensive end? I don't think he's really a factor on that end of the floor. Don't think he's that type of athlete to make an impact. And I think his decision making as a whole is just not the greatest right now. Over dribbles into offense at times, takes difficult shots. But he'll polish it up, I think, eventually. I think he's more of a multi-year player instead of a one and done.
Yeah,
but
I could see that.
Who knows with Calipari in Arkansas? I personally would have Malik Thomas as a higher prospect. I was telling Kyle this before the show. I think from a scoring standpoint, he's definitely a much shiftier scorer, definitely more versatile scorer, 3 levels. So I'm higher on Thomas. I think Thomas can make more of an impact than Acuff.
So these are the American. Well, actually, neither of these guys are actually American. Actually, now I'm looking at it. Ones who went to high school in America. That I have in my top 10 that we didn't list. Tunde Yusufu from Benin.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a 6'6" wing going to Baylor. My comp for him is Anthony Edwards light. Like literally, like he wears the same shooting sleeve. Like he's trying to look like Anthony Davis.
Exactly
same number. Like he is imitating Anthony Davis. I'm not saying he's as good as Anthony Edwards. I keep saying Davis. I got maps on the brain because we're about to play. So I'm not saying he's as good as Ant, but that's what he's trying to be. And then the other one that I have is Magoon Gawath, who is, I believe, South Sudanese. And he is going to San Diego State. So he's a huge 7-foot guy, shoots a lot, but also blocks shots and kind of handles the ball a little bit, and very bull, like, you know, where it's like boom or bust kind of thing. Like that's kind of how I am with him. And Jacob, so those are the two.
And you mentioned your honorable mentions. I think Jacob had a couple. He mentioned you need to hear them, but
so I know all the guys we talked were freshmen today. But if we're strictly talking non-freshman, Jaden Quainance, I'd probably have as my 4th overall. Best
we mentioned him earlier.
Yeah, like the defense is just very, very real. The athleticism is very real. His question is just what's he going to look like on the offensive end.
I have him 6. Yeah, so I totally agree with you.
Yeah, Tunde, I probably would also have top 10 just from the functional athleticism and scoring standpoint. You know, really nice floater game, really tight dribble package. Athletically, he's built to be a good defender, especially as a point of attack guy. So every time I watch him, he convinces me more and more. Yaxel Lendenberg, I had him at 16 at one point in my last cycle. Not sure how he looks at a Power 5 conference level, especially in a Michigan front court, which is extremely crowded. Not sure how he'll fit next to Morez Johnson, who looks incredible in U19, and Ade Mara. Those are 2 guys that really can't stretch the floor either.
I really think that Yaxel and Ade are going to fit. I think that's an excellent fit together. Really, like playing both.
I know. I think, and the Morez Johnson, the 3 of them together as a whole, is not a great fit.
Real well, but I think that you can play Axel and Ade together really well. Like I think that's a really good. Like I think they complement each other very well.
I'm not a huge fan of Mara, so I never have been. But
I'm not necessarily either, but I think he's a good complement to Yaxel. So like at Ade, I don't even think I have him in my top 60.
I wouldn't have him in my top 60.
But I do think that they're a good fit. We talked about Caden Boozer earlier as well. Yes. I have him 9. I don't know where you guys feel about him. And then international guy Kareem Lopez is my 10.
I'm not sure how I feel about him exactly. No, Lopez. How much did he average? He averaged like 9-10 points last year,
something like that.
The first time I watched him was against the Sixers in preseason last year.
He looked pretty awesome against the Sixers.
He looked really good. Looked physically ready. He has the length, has athleticism. I think he's a pretty smooth player.
6'8" shooter.
Yeah, lanky. There's gonna be a lot of teams that fall in love with his type of archetype that can play in transition.
And who didn't get mentioned, in my opinion, I touched on it before, and to throw this out here, Christian Anderson, I think, is going to be surprisingly good I'm not sure if people have him. I don't. And granted, he's not
I
on
have him
any
30 right now. I have him 30 right now, but
you have him 30. But no, I haven't seen many boards that have him.
I can't figure out a comp for him. That's the problem.
I mean, he averaged 6.6 assists during the FIBA games.
I know. He's a very good passer. It's very
can shoot the ball, can stretch the floor.
He understands space very well.
Very, very well. And so I would not be surprised if he ends up higher than 30 come draft time around this time next year, where he is probably maybe, I would say the range for me right now is, just because of the talent that's in this class, I would say 15 to 25. That is a wide range, but I do think because of his ability to shoot the ball, his ability to understand space, his ability to play, make, and make reads.
I'm going to address something now.
Yeah.
This is not on Christian Anderson, but I've already seen like several times where people are like calling Elijah Arenas just like a Nepo baby, and that's the reason he's at UNC. Like, no. He's USC. He is a real basketball player. Like, he's a really good basketball player. Like, he's not a Nepo baby. He's going to be a first round pick. There's a very high chance, I think, that he could eventually be a lottery pick. I think that
scoring. Listen, I don't love his dad's takes.
Yeah.
At all. A lot. You would think the basketball like analysis would be so much better from somebody who understands basketball in the way that he does. It really isn't, which is weird to me. But his son can put the ball in the basket in a way that
I don't think he believes most of what he says. To be completely honest, I think
he's just like a crazy personality. Like he's always been just like on and off the court. He never took anything seriously, and I think Elijah is much different than him personality wise. You see, like he's much more composed on the court.
Killer instinct is high from him.
He seems like he knows what
I think he might be a 2-year guy, maybe. I mean, I could see a world where he's not a first round pick this year, but he's going to be a first round pick.
He knows what it's going to take to be better. He knows what he needs to do.
And also, he's completely cleared after the car wreck and everything. So
which
that's
is
awesome.
great.
Thank God.
Yeah. So that's top consensus 10, not our top 10. We'll come out with that, and you'll know exactly what our top 10 looks like.
Yeah.
I feel like these are way too early top 10s, and maybe kind of reactionary, just a little bit. I think we're going to be a little bit more poised on who we put in top 10 because for those who are just joining, the top 3 are going to be the top 3 in my opinion. All 3 of our opinions. I'll speak for myself, but I'll speak for both Jacob and Jordan. Boozer, AJ, and Pearson are all gonna. They're one, and there's not a lot of years where a draft class has this, but it is 1A, 1B, 1C. A team could take any of them, and they're gonna get a W from picking them. So AJ Dabasta.
I'm really sad because Stokes was flirting with moving up into this class. And
we talked a little bit about that. I think we'll cover that at some point.
Stokes might be like 1 for me, and then these guys would be 2A, 2B, 2C.
He looked really good in U19. He looked ready.
And if
he's one of those guys who's real hard to not have a Hall of Fame comp immediately for.
And it's to be seen if he decides to change his mind at all, if he makes any other decisions and shifts things. There is time, I think. Maybe I could be wrong about that. I'll have to look into it and do a little research. But
I think because he played, if I'm remembering correctly, because he played EYBL, he can't. But I don't know for sure.
Well, that's the consensus. Not sure if now. Granted, I'll restate not our consensus, but the consensus currently of top 10. And just to quickly run through those names, for those who watch, if you want to take a look at who we talked about, you can run this back as well. That's AJ Dabasta. We have Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, Nate Ament, Caleb Wilson, Mikael Brown Jr.
You skipped Chris
Oh,
Sinek.
Chris Sinak, Braden Burries, and Darius Acuff. Again, those are the consensus top 10 for a few people. I can't wait for us to talk about ours once we put it together, and I think it might look substantially different based on what talent we decide to evaluate and how we decide to evaluate them. So look out for that. Thanks for showing interest and watching us. We are already hauling butt on this 2026 class. A lot of work ahead of us. Check in Summer League, watch the games. I think Vegas is going to have some good games. We got a couple of them tonight.
Cooper Flag is literally about to play.
So thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.